In today's video, we have something truly amazing to talk about, because I get to ride a bike that's extremely exciting, brand spanking new, and never seen before.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got an awesome surprise for you because I'm testing out a prototype bike. Let's get to it.
So strap in, because today's electrifying ride went a little something like this. Today I've travelled to Dalby Forest on the east coast of England to meet up with Shark e-bikes. They're letting me loose on something very exciting. Dalby is the perfect location because it has a whole host of interesting features and gnarly terrain to test this bike on. This means we have everything we need to put this bike through its paces. So, the bike. Feast your eyes on this beauty. This is the Thresher from Shark e-bikes. With its sleek design, powerful motor and top-notch components, it's not just a bike, it's a beast on wheels. Now, this is the only bike of its kind in the world, and it's a prototype from Shark to showcase what they can do, and boy does this thing hit the mark. It's easy to see that this bike has been built with performance in mind. Firstly, this thing is fully carbon. The frame, the bars, and even the rims are carbon, which makes this a super light bike. It has a whopping 170mm of front suspension and a confidence-inspiring 160mm in the rear. Combine this with a powerful mid-drive Bafang MT10 43V motor and it's more than enough to tackle even the toughest terrain. Oh, and this bike is a mullet setup too, with big 29er up front and a 27.5 in the rear. This thing is set up to be a real off-road machine. Just the look of this bike is enough to turn heads. With its internal cables and dropper, it's a sleek and exciting looking bike. I mean, we can sit around for hours and admire this thing, and it will be time well spent. But let's get to the important stuff. What's this bike like to ride?
Okay, power on. Snazzy, check that out. So let's take a moment to appreciate how awesome this cockpit looks. Carbon bars, like awesome grips. Really smart little display down here with the controls just over on the left side. This is a smart looking bike. Okay, first section, here we go.
Riding a bike for the first time, It's always an amazing experience. But it's important to be mindful that you don't know how the bike will handle certain terrain or features. So until you feel comfortable, it's important to take it a bit easier than you normally would.
Oh, it's so smooth.
To get a feel for this bike, I made my way along the first few trail sections. These were a mixture of interesting forest flow trails with a few rocks and turns, and yes, even some interesting uphill sections. Wait, did I just use the words uphill and interesting in the same sentence? I certainly did, but we'll get to this later. These first few sections gave me the opportunity to feel out the bike, get an idea of its capabilities, and understand a bit about how it handles. You can assess the weight of a bike, how responsive it is, and how it feels going over features. Even though I've only been on this bike for a short time, I was clearly having a lot of fun already.
This is so much fun.
So, coming to the end of the first few trail sections, what do I think about this new prototype bike from Shark?
Okay, first couple of trail sections done. My instant reaction to this bike, two major surprises. One, it feels really light. It's so agile around the corners, especially in this mullet setup with all the carbon on it. This thing is really light and really responsive. And second, I'm so surprised how quiet it is. Honestly, compared to some other e-bikes, this thing is silent. Awesome. Bring on the next trail.
So now that I have a feel for the bike, it's time to take it on some more serious trails.
Oh yeah.
It goes without saying that this is a really comfortable bike to ride on the downhills, but I've heard that Dalby Forest has a couple of pretty gnarly downhill sections that will really test this bike, so I instantly made a beeline towards these.
So I seem to have wandered onto the black trail. Let's give it a go.
You'll see what I mean when I say that this section is short and sharp, and I'm riding it for the first time ever, so I'm putting a lot of faith in this bike to get me down safely. Filled with rock steps in quick succession, this is a stegosaurus of a trail section. But I have to say, the suspension was great, the bike felt stable, and it made for a really exciting ride. Today's gonna be a good day.
That was easy.
After tackling that first short black section, I was feeling comfortable on the bike. But it wasn't long before I found another great challenge to test myself on the bike.
Okay, so I've just come across another black trail section down in this gully. It'd be a shame to not hit it, so let's give it a try.
To the uninitiated, this section is a savage run through a steep-sided gully on a surface of large loose rocks that are literally running with water. It takes commitment, control and a decent bike to navigate this section. Riding down here, the suspension and agile nature of this bike made it a dab hand at managing the bumps and making quick line choices. As for the rocks moving underneath my tyres, well, there's no component or piece of kit that can stop that from happening, but the big chunky Schwalbe tyres definitely were a big help.
So this is an intense piece of trail. Yeah, it's so much fun.
This section is a really good challenge. Unlike the first black section, this is a sustained effort the whole way down. It's a mixture of working out your speed and making good line choices. Making it down to the end, I was really happy with how that rode. The bike handled things perfectly and I came out unscathed.
Oh, that was awesome. Whew. So from riding this bike on all the red and black trails here at Dalby, one thing is overwhelmingly evident. This bike is awesome. It's really capable. I mean, there's not a trail centre in the UK that it couldn't go on. Absolutely cracking.
It's fair to say that I was starting to get a feel for this bike, and it's clearly more than capable on any kind of downhill that you're going to encounter at a trail centre or bike park. But there was another test waiting for this bike just around the next corner.
Okay, we're out on my travels and I've just come across this section of big old tabletops, so let's give the e-bike a go.
Stumbling across these jumps, how could I resist? And as it turns out, it was really amazing fun.
Woo! Wow, that was awesome. That was good.
Being a light and responsive bike, it was great on the jumps, but it was also stable and confidence inspiring. Honestly, I'm starting to fall in love with this bike. So far, I've been talking a lot about how the bike feels and its capabilities, so I also want to mention some of the components. Of course, everything on this bike was working in tip-top, from the RockShox domain forks to the Shimano MT200 brakes. It was also good fun having things like the cadence and torque stats too. Although this bike isn't available to buy at the moment, it's probably a good time to mention that there is a discount code for Shark e-bikes down in the video description, so definitely use that one if you're going to be visiting their website, because they've got loads of other bikes on offer. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is riding uphill. Now, a lot of you will be waiting for me to tell you that mullet bikes are terrible at climbing. Well, you're going to be disappointed, because this mullet e-bike climbs like a beast. I honestly found this to be effortless.
Okay, a rocky uphill, smooth, plenty of power. Even in a mullet, I'm not having any trouble getting up this. Superb. Making short work of the uphills. I'm not even in full power and this thing is boosting.
It was also fun hitting the little kickers on the uphills and riding over things that I would normally avoid on climbs. But small kickers and rocks are one thing. What I found next was another climbing challenge altogether.
So I've just come across this cheeky little black section, which looks like it goes up this really steep and really slippery looking rock. I mean, honestly, from here, it looks horrendous. So this should be a great test for the full suspension e-bike. This will put it through its paces.
So I went for it.
No problems. Easy.
Handled with ease. What else can I say? So, what are my honest thoughts about this bike?
I mean, this is pretty much everything you'd want from a bike. It's a mullet setup, so it's agile in the corners, it's fast. There's plenty of suspension on this. So downhills and rocks and technical bits are no issues. And there's also plenty of power. So the motor and the assist is absolutely spot on. It's nice and quiet, there's power there when you need it. I've not even taken it up to full pedal assist yet. I've been keeping it around the sort of 3-4 and I think it goes up to 6. So this bike is great.
So if you're looking for the perfect balance of power, style and performance, you've come to the right place. I think the Shark e-bike's Thresher is an absolute winner, and this was one of the best days riding I've had in a while. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you next time.